In this lecture, we'll explore the Overlays panel, so go ahead and expand it. The Overlay panel controls the text that appears in the top left portion of the slideshow. The text right now is a bit faint because we changed our slideshow background color to a lighter tone. If you changed your background color to white or anything similar, you may not be able to see the text at all. Before we change the text color, you might recall that at the beginning of this course, we set up the Lightroom identity plate. And we access the identity plate by going to Lightroom here and then identity plate setup. And then we personalize the plate. And that's where we got the My Photography Studio that you see over here in the left corner. So the Overlays panel gives us the option to make changes to our identity plate directly from here. Now, for any reason, if you don't see your plate, make sure you place a check mark in identity plate. That's to show and hide the text here. To make changes to the text of your identity plate, click the preview box and click edit. That's another quick way of making whatever changes you need to. So I'll go ahead and I just want to change the font color because it's a little bit too light. So I'm going to change it to black. And then I'll just close the color picker panel. Maybe I'll make it a little bit more bold as well. And I'll click OK. So now we can see it a bit better. Another way of changing your identity plate text is to place a check mark in this override color checkbox and then select the color from the color picker here. So the good thing about doing it this way is you don't make any modifications to your actual identity plate. You're just overriding the identity plate settings in the Overlays panel. This drop-down menu over here is just another way of assigning a different identity plate if you don't want to use this one. So keep in mind if you wanted to use another one, you would have to configure it in your identity plate settings. We configured this one earlier called My Plate. We can change the opacity of the text, and we can also make it bigger and smaller if you need to. You'll notice that when I scale the image, it starts going on top of my photograph. If you don't want it to go on top, you can click Render Behind Image, and it'll put it behind. But typically what you want to do is have it fit so that there's no under or overlap. Now, one issue I'm having is that the margins I've made are a little bit too small, and it's forcing me to use a very small font for my identity plate text. So I'm just going to increase the margins a bit so I have a bit more space to work with. There we go. Now I can scale it much bigger. You can apply a watermark to your slides by clicking the watermarking checkbox. And then from this menu over here, we can select the watermark we configured in the beginning of the course, which was watermark 1. And that's what that looked like. If you don't want to use watermark 1, you can go to edit watermarks and you can add additional watermarks and do whatever you need to do there. I find this watermark a little bit too big, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scale it down. And I'll click Save. And I'll just give this a new name. And click Create. Okay, so now I have both watermarks available, the original and the new one. The rating star checkbox is used to show or hide the rating stars at the top left corner of the image. Now, because this image is quite dark, I'm going to go ahead and change the color of the rating stars. I'm going to click on this color picker box and I'll change it to white. There we go. I'll also make it a little bit bigger so we can see it better. And you can decrease the opacity as well if you want to. It gives a nice effect.